Hello and welcome to a MovieBoozer.com virtual Pubcast commentary track. I'm your host, Ken Ekman, and Bill Leon is joining me as well.
I just did a word to your mother pose, but you can't see it.
For those who haven't heard our commentaries before, it's quite simple. Just find your copy of the movie that you want to see, preferably the one that we are watching. Otherwise, it won't make a whole hell of a lot of sense. Die Another Day, the James Bond movie from 2002, the 40th anniversary Bond film. Infamous as the Bond film that basically made everyone say, you know what, guys, hold on, let's chill. Things went a little too far. That escalated a little too quickly. And famously being the final film of the 4-film cycle of Pierce Brosnan's Bond. Now, Bill, you were telling me just before we started recording that Pierce Brosnan was your Bond. He was the Bond that you grew up on.
From afar, because these movies had heavy marketing pushes and the advertising was there, and I would see that growing up, but I never watched these films. And what's really funny is I was just thinking about this. When I think of Pierce Brosnan, I kind of think of Mrs. Doubtfire. I'm dead serious.
You know what? I think it makes sense. That was probably the first movie you saw him in, right?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. For me, Pierce Brosnan was certainly the Bond that I technically should have grown up on, but I don't feel that way, because for me, what happened was that I kind of came into Bond films organically. The first Bond film I ever watched was Moonraker, because it was on, and I remember this distinctly, TBS Dinner and a Movie, Friday nights.
Hey, you know what? Actually, though, that show actually introduced me to quite a few movies growing up. Yeah.
Yeah, that is one of my big nostalgia trips from the 90s, was watching Dinner and a Movie, because what they would do, for those of you who haven't heard of the show, is Friday night, if you were a loser like me who didn't have parties to go to, what you would do is you would sit at home and you would watch TV. And what happened to be on TV that night was this show where they would show a classic movie, or usually a movie from the 60s, 70s, 80s, mostly 70s and 80s, though. Mm-hmm. And the two hosts, who, for me, were Paul and Annabelle. Paul Gilmartin and Annabelle, I forget her last name.
Yeah, but, well, it's interesting to mention that, because Paul is the one that stuck with it, because there were multiple female hosts.
Right. I really only watched it through the Paul and Annabelle days. I think I matured out of watching shows on Friday night right about the time that they replaced her. Mm-hmm. And I think they, honestly, I'd seen a couple of the others, and they didn't quite work as well. Mm-hmm. But the show was great, because what they would do is the interstitial segments in between commercial breaks would be them and a chef cooking a themed meal or item. Sometimes a whole menu, sometimes just a single thing, specifically themed around the movie. And so I remember for the movie Goldfinger, the Bond film Goldfinger, they made some sort of dessert involving golden lady fingers, which are those soft kind of cookie-like things.
Right. And
it was like a martini kind of thing. I forgot what they made for Moonraker, but I think it had something to do with it was some sort of space thing. I think they used something involving astronaut ice cream, or I don't know. I can't remember, honestly. But the point being, I watched random Bond films from all the different eras. So I didn't really have a set James Bond, that's the one I grew up on kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I watched all of them probably in the span of about a year or so when I was young. And this movie was the third and the final instance in which, starting the first Bond film I saw in theaters was Tomorrow Never Dies. And I saw
before this?
Yes, I saw it on opening night with my brother. Tomorrow Never Dies was the second Pierce Brosnan film after GoldenEye.
Yeah.
It came out in, I believe, 1997. And Tomorrow Never Dies, I saw with my brother opening night. World Is Not Enough, I saw with my brother on opening night. And Die Another Day, I saw with my brother on opening night. And I remember some things distinctly about it. First of all, I remember being disappointed. But at the same time, I didn't really get a chance to appreciate the full breadth of how unusual this movie was, because this was a very distinctive incident. This is the movie that I watched where there was a guy in the theater talking through the whole movie, and my most memorable memory of that was I was the guy who stood up and told him to shut the fuck up.
Oh, okay. I thought this was going in a different direction.
I know. I was a brave little preteen.
Well, okay.
Well, I was a teenager by that point, actually.
This actually could be very eerily in the same time period. When the film Rugrats in Paris came out, Who Let the Dogs Out was a big hit, and from what I understand, it's actually kind of sort of tied to that movie's soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
But they play it in the movie, and the theater full of children just erupted singing along. And I stood up and turned around and yelled, "Shut the fuck up." They couldn't hear me because everybody was yelling, "Who let the dogs out?" But I still did it.
So did you let the dogs out by any chance?
I mean, it's funny to me. Like when I think about that song, I think about there was a parody of it about the Mets called "Who Let the Mets Out." Apparently, the Mets were doing well back then, which I don't think they are now.
I'm pretty sure they did the same thing for the Cubs. Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It actually reminds me of the comedian Todd Glass. He in one of the early episodes of his podcast, there was another stand-up comedian, and I wish I could remember who it was, but Todd Glass played his voicemail, and this comedian left over the course of a couple of days a series of increasingly angry voicemails revolving around Who Let the Dogs Out. He would call Todd up, and he'd be like, "Hey, Todd, I just wondering, because, I know you were over at my place, and when I woke up in the morning, I just wanted to ask you, who let the dogs out? I mean, who? And then the next phone call was was him saying doing the same bit, but slightly more angry. And then by the end of the week, he was just shouting and cursing.
Who the fuck let the dogs out?
It's the stupidest joke, but the way it was played out was just brilliant. I will have to find that. And
well, speaking of Todd's, just a real quick plug for Todd in the Shadows. He might get to Die Another Day very soon because he has a series where he goes over all of the films that Madonna was in.
Oh, yeah, he definitely will, because Madonna has, not only is she responsible for the Die Another Day theme song, and I can't stress that sigh enough, she also features in the film, and I believe she's the only musical, Bond theme performer who actually appears in the movie.
Right.
I could be wrong. There might have been early on something like that, but you certainly didn't see Shirley Bassey show up in Goldfinger and start talking to.
Well, I mean, with Madonna specifically, it's a little different because Madonna's one of those people that transcends just being a musician, and she transcends just being an actor, where she was like a pop cultural icon, I
would agree, and I would also argue that she transcends being talented also.
Not all the time.
I have yet to hear a Madonna song that I would consider something which a talented person would create.
What? You don't like a Prayer or fucking Lucky Star?
No, I do not.
I like both those songs. There's some Madonna. I was actually referring to her acting career and not her music.
Infamous acting career, I think you should say, because
she's all right. Again, we were kind of talking about movies with Madonna that we've seen before we went on the air. And I don't think she's bad in like A League of Their Own. People really talk up Evita, and I know Evita's a movie with a lot of flaws, but her performance in it is actually pretty good.
You know what? I've not seen Evita, so I can't speak for that. I was not a fan of of her performance in A League of Their Own.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind the movie, but what I'm more thinking of is the fact that Madonna has also had a penchant for appearing in movies that are, like Guy Ritchie's Swept Away. I know we were talking about Shanghai Surprise, which you have not seen, which
I've seen. Well, that's the thing. Going back to Todd in the Shadows, which, again, plug, everybody should be a fan of Todd in the Shadows.
Yeah.
He has an episode about Shanghai Surprise, and the more I learn about it, the more I'm just kind of endlessly fascinated by it.
Oh, it is it's one of those movies that you kind of have to see to believe, and it's a train wreck. Absolutely. It's like it is truly the definition of the kind of train wreck where you can't look away because it is just so baffling that such a horrible thing could come together so organically.
Yeah.
With that said, we should start the film now. Now we have the movie queued up to the point where the MGM Lion logo disappears. Now, on the Blu-ray Bond 50th Anniversary Edition of the movie, which I have, that is at 11 seconds. And I have it ready. Do you have it ready, Bill?
Yes. I'm using a digital copy, and I'm on 12 seconds, but that just could... Well, I don't know why I pointed that out. Never mind.
Yeah, it's important to note for the audience that we will be watching two different copies of the movie. It should be the same movie, and so I don't anticipate there being technical issues. If there are, I apologize. But that said, Bill lives in Delaware and I live in Illinois, so it's not exactly easy for us to get together.
Yeah.
We will be hitting play in, if you're ready, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Now, is this the one where he surfs?
It is.
Okay.
And watch, this is how you can tell there's a problem automatically.
Well, they got this like hip hop beat.
Did you notice the bullet flying at the screen?
Kind of. It was CG.
Yep.
Yeah.
That automatically will tell you. Now, you asked whether Bond surfs. You're about to find out because that's literally what this movie opens up on.
Oh, I thought it was in the climax.
Oh no, here we go. Bond surfing.
He's dressed like a gimp.
Yep, and it's also clearly not Pierce Brosnan's body. Anyone who has any eye for silhouettes would know that. But there's some wonderful CGI coming up. Wait until you see it. It's, the surfing part alone wouldn't be a problem if it's not for the processed CGI shot that we're about to bear witness to. But first we have to have a couple shots of surfing because, people dressed in black surfing.
Who are these two other guys?
Presumably other 00 agents.
Right, okay.
That's one of the Bond cliches is that there's usually like a 008 or a 007, he is 007, a 006.
Now this is interesting because based on my personal knowledge of James Bond and the franchise, do you want to know what I have a desire to talk about right now?
What is that?
Johnny English.
Oh Lord.
Oh Lord! Like the first one
was barely passable, and the second one is.
Yeah, well, okay, yeah. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But I was 14 when the first Johnny English came out. When you're 14 years old, the first Johnny English is a perfectly acceptable comedy film.
I am a huge fan of Rowan Atkinson.
So am I. And actually, that's like when I first saw Johnny English, I didn't know Blackadder. I hadn't seen. I think I was really only familiar with Mr. Bean. I hadn't really seen him in speaking roles before.
That's fair enough. I mean, it's if that's your sort of more or less introduction to him as a actor who speaks, because he doesn't speak that much in Mr. Bean.
Yeah.
That's fine. He gives his all in those movies. It's just they're not particularly well constructed.
No.
You okay there, Bill?
Oh yeah, good.
All right. So what we have here is James Bond is in North Korea, and he and his team, I guess you could call it, have just taken a helicopter.
GM?
And as you can see, there's diamonds, and he's doing
Diamonds are forever.
you know that Bond theme. So
Is
here's
that
our
how
first.
it goes?
Yes, actually.
Okay.
So here's our first use of the Bond gadget. He pulled a detonator, a C4 detonator, out of his wristwatch. This movie is heavy on the Bond gadgets, by the way. So
why does this look like World War II?
Oh, it's North Korea. North Korea is basically set back by decades because they spend so much money on military, and the people there suffer as a result. It's the most isolated country in the world.
I knew that was going to happen. I knew there was a person inside there.
Yep.
But is it racist for him to know karate?
I don't necessarily think so. I mean, it's a cliche.
Yeah.
Racist would be... Well, actually, I think you'll appreciate...
Racist would be extra closed eyes and like some buck teeth. Yeah.
He made a joke because the guy in the punching bag, that was his anger therapist, apparently.
Have you ever seen that Popeye cartoon, You're a Sap, Mr. Jap?
Oh, geez, yeah.
You're a sap, Mr. Jap. That.
Isn't there a Bugs Bunny cartoon? Where
There's multiple. That's kind of ultimately funny it's a piece of history, you know, like in the 40s, we had these characters that, you know, they were going to live past the 40s for sure. Bugs Bunny, Popeye, not Daffy Duck, Donald Duck. Disney. Fucking Disney. Donald Duck. And throw them into Nazi situations. Throw them into fucking Japan, angry World War II situations. Whoa, nice cars. Ooh, we're synced up pretty nicely.
So this opening sequence is actually not, surfing aside, it's not a terrible opening sequence.
Honestly, I thought the surfing, because you hear people say surfing Bond. I thought it was like an over-the-top thing where you could see his face.
Well, yeah, okay, it's not quite as bad as the Escape from LA surfing.
That's what I thought. No. That is exactly what I thought I was in for.
True. You know what? That's true. It's but that said, you haven't seen Surfing Bond until you've seen later in the movie when they echo it again. And they
well, so you didn't mention that. I thought that was
I didn't want to necessarily give that away because I know for you this is your first time seeing it.
100% first time.
But you know, it just felt appropriate for me to reference that.
As a whole, I would say this is my third or fourth Bond film that I'm actually seeing as one whole piece.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've seen Casino Royale and Skyfall. I know I've seen tons of scenes from, but I've never actually sat down and watched all the way through.
So we just had Bond give a very clever quip. He said, "Don't blow it all at once," giving him the diamonds, knowing that he had planted a bomb in the case. Because
why doesn't he get the hell out of there?
Well, he's surrounded by people, and I guess if he ran, he'd probably be shot. But they identified him, by the way, because Bond is the worst spy. Everyone knows his fucking name.
Right.
And he tells people his name. He says, "I'm James Bond."
He's all like, the time. I gotta go. I left something on the stove. I gotta go. Whoa!
And so there goes his nameless friends.
I think I'm starting to see where they kind of fucked up here, which is that you said this is 2002, right?
Correct.
It still feels like the 90s.
Well, this is a weird hybrid because you will see as they try very hard in this film to update it from the last Bond, because World Is Not Enough was heavily criticized for particularly Denise Richards being, and I still maintain, the worst Bond girl.
She probably is.
And
she's not. She's a bad actress.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Was she? Did she play White She-Devil in Undercover Brother?
I forget about that, but at least in that movie, a bad actress isn't like something that's necessarily a detriment. In the case of The World Is Not Enough, not only was she a bad actress, but they cast Denise Richards, a supermodel, to play a nuclear physicist.
Right. Okay.
Named Christmas Jones, and it features the most famous James Bond, just bad James Bond pun, which is after having sex with Christmas, he says, "I thought Christmas came only once a year."
Oh my God! Oh my God!
So now that they've set up all those expensive cars, Bond took the opportunity to destroy them, and he's just blowing a bunch of shit up for no reason, because he really, at this point, escape should be his #1 priority.
I was actually just about to say that. It seems like his top priority right now should be getting the hell out of there.
Yeah.
that was good. I like that.
And so we have a hovercraft chase, which now, mind you, this is.
You know what though? Practical effects, man.
Yeah.
Even as fucking outrageous as this is, practical effects. God damn it, man! They fuck agree. Movies up every day with not doing shit like this.
Like I said, this opening is not the movie's problem. There's some interesting stuff. It has its flaws. It certainly has over-the-top moments. But
this is a cartoon. Like this is Archer. This is Archer that's going on.
Cartoon Bond can be fun. I mean, some of the Roger Moore movies that are basically cartoons.
Yeah.
Like, did you see that the hovercraft just barely tapped that concrete building and it immediately explodes?
Oh God. Yeah, this is some shit you might see on Archer, I feel like.
Oh yeah. And I love how they like bleached out the film to make everything look dark and
honestly, I think they're kind of trying to ape off Saving Private Ryan.
That's actually exactly what they did. I was reading up here, the film stock in this opening sequence went through the same process.
Oh man, and I got it, like the opening scenes were like those spiky things in the sand. What are those called?
Oh, I forget the name of them.
The whole thing has this,
it
like,
might be called hedgehogs.
Yeah, this whole thing has this like look to it, and the saturation is just a little too much.
Mm-hmm. Now, actually, it's interesting that they use the bleach process because at the time this movie came out, HBO had just done Band of Brothers, which was sort of a spiritual continuance of the Saving Private Ryan myth, not myth, but ethos when it comes to doing a war story. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, it does, like, there's no character crossovers, but it's very much the same kind of shooting style. Uh-huh. And what's interesting about it, though, is that was the first major film production that used digital processes to color correct a movie. And so, yeah, I was saying this came out just after that. So I'm wondering, is with as much money that was put into this project, they still did it the practical way instead of using.
There's no doubt in my mind. You know what's super funny?
We're about to see some CG not too long.
I feel like Conker's Bad Fur Day did a better fucking Saving Private Ryan homage than these fuckers.
Yeah, well. Oh, we're about to get a nice Bond pun here.
To this day, I've never seen.
Yep, that's Saved by the Bell.
To this day, I've never seen Saving Private Ryan. I feel like I should point that out.
I think you should. I mean, it's not. I know you're not a huge fan of war movies or something, but
I gotta have some charisma. I gotta have like a little eccentricity, some personality. You know, like that's.
You would actually. Here's the thing. You like Adam Goldberg, right?
I do. I do like Adam Goldberg.
He's an interesting character in the movie that I think you would appreciate watching his character play in it.
Mm-hmm.
It was really his first major breakout performance. Plus, you get to see Vin Diesel die, which was enough for people like me who hated Vin Diesel back in the day.
Not to dispute you, but Dazed and Confused, Adam Goldberg. Which... That's difficult to separate him from his character in Dazed and Confused, because you always kind of see a little bit of that in him to this day.
All right, Bill, you're about to hear Madonna.
Ooh. Ian Fleming's James Bond 007 in... Oh, this sounds like pop music now.
Yeah, well...
This is ahead of its time. I'm Rosamund Pike?
Yes.
Rosamund Pike, whatever it is.
Yep, she didn't break out as a performer until fairly recently.
Right.
And of course, John Cleese has replaced Desmond Llewellyn as Q.
Yeah, which is not bad.
In The World Is Not Enough, they brought him in and introduced him as basically Desmond Llewellyn's like sort of replacement, but they didn't. Right. But Desmond was still in it. It was just sort of a thing where they he unfortunately died in a car crash, so he couldn't appear in it. What?
He's being tortured.
Yes, this whole sequence.
And they're using it. This is weird opening credits.
It is. No other Bond film does this, where they actually like write it into the story, the credit sequence.
Yeah.
And honestly, if it was a better film, it would actually be a creative idea. But unfortunately, it's not going to go anywhere after this.
This is a music video.
Oh, well, every Bond opening is basically a music video.
Yeah, but this is, like you said, this tries to tie itself in with the story.
Right.
Like, visually, this is a music video from 2002.
That's for sure. I will definitely... Yeah.
Like, I don't mean that, like, this is like a music video. I mean, this looks like a music video from the time that this film came out. Which is worse, honestly. Yeah, because, like... Even Spy Hard, like those opening credits are fun to watch, you know?
Oh yeah, well, the thing is, the original Bond openings were heavily inspired by like Saul Bass style openings. Yeah. And gradually they got more and more oriented towards just showing hot chicks doing stuff. And I think that when well done, they can be really creative and a nice way to get you in the mood for some Bond adventuring. This could have been a creative departure by showing the fact that he's been captured by the North Koreans and is now in prison and being tortured. It's intriguing. And in fact, Pierce Brosnan lobbied heavily for this Bond film to be a darker film, and he was overruled basically at every turn, unfortunately. Which, ironically enough, the next Bond film, Casino Royale, would take that directly on and do a much more gritty film.
Was Casino Royale before or after Batman Begins?
It actually was shortly, like a couple of years after Batman Begins, maybe a year or so. And literally, they cited that as a direct inspiration.
Yeah, that makes sense. Not that there's anything wrong with it.
So here we see Pierce Brosnan in full Snake Plissken from Escape from New York mode. Although he's rocking a full beard, too, which kind of doubles it down.
Double down. Where the fuck?
So this, at this point, it's still basically just a continuance of the opening. And now the thing that's interesting is Bond opening sequences usually until the Pierce Brosnan era, they didn't tie into the story that directly.
Let me ask you a question. Before we went on the air here, I watched part of the trailer for this. I didn't watch the whole trailer. I kind of was like, oh, this is dumb, and I shut it off. But the first few seconds of the trailer kind of imply that this is a continuation of a story from a previous film.
It isn't.
But what I want to ask you is that did you get that impression from this movie's marketing before you saw it?
No, I didn't. Well, here's the thing. All the Bond...
The trailer... Go on.
The Pierce Brosnan era Bond films, none of them tie directly into each other at all.
Right. With
the exception of maybe the fact that that there's some references with his growing relationship with Judi Dench's M and the younger actress playing Moneypenny, played by Samantha Bond, who
you did say that they set up John Cleese in the previous film.
They do, but it's there isn't really a continuity.
That's more of a convenience,
right?
Yeah,
especially but in The World Is Not Enough, Bond makes a throwaway joke that I, at the time, thought was going to stick. What happened was when Q showed John Cleese and said that he's grooming him for his replacement, Bond says, "So you're Q. Does that make him R?"
QRSTUV.
Yeah.
Okay.
And here's the thing: in The World Is Not Enough game for N64, which I played like hell because it was a fun game.
Right.
John Cleese provided voice to it, and his character is credited as R. So I always assumed that that's what his character was going to be. But in this movie, they call him Q. So.
Okay.
So like I said, continuity-wise, they don't really care too much. Maybe, I don't think he was credited as R in The World Is Not Enough, but I always assumed from that joke that that's who he was going to be called.
This World War II shit is still going on?
Mm-hmm. Well, in North Korea in particular. I mean,
we need the Muppets moving right along. Come on.
Here's the thing. The demilitarized zone in North Korea has been there since the Korean War ended in the early 1950s, Bill, and not much has changed. It's very...
okay, time out, though. We're talking about James Bond here. Mm-hmm. History means fuck all to this. My point is that we should be out of this setting by now. We should not be still in desaturated colors. We need some color in this movie, first of all.
Oh, it gets colorful before long.
I know.
Give it a little time.
Well, I don't know for sure, but I would assume.
Oh, introducing Michael Madsen.
Michael Madsen. Oh my God.
Michael Madsen, who
does he have any fans that are just fans of him?
Oh, he has some dedicated fans for sure. Michael Madsen is basically, I believe, replacing the previous. There's always been a CIA agent working on Bond's side. For most of Bond's history, it was a CIA agent character named Felix Leiter, and Felix Leiter was played by. I think there was just a whole bunch of different actors who played him, and then in the GoldenEye movie, they replaced Felix Leiter with a CIA agent named Jack Wade, played by your favorite guy from MST3K, from Mitchell, Joe Don Baker.
My favorite.
Well, my favorite too.
Oh, everybody's favorite. Yeah. Mr.
Mitchell.
Yeah.
So Joe Don Baker, I don't believe, appears in this movie, and it said he was replaced by Michael Madsen with not particularly that much enthusiasm.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Michael Madsen hasn't been much of a actor since the 90s, as far as I'm concerned.
We have color.
And we have Oscar winner Judi Dench as M.
Fucking Pierce Brosnan looking like George of the Jungle.
Yep.
Ooh. Maybe we could do George of the Jungle sometime. The live action Brendan Fraser movie.
Incidentally, I know I'm not sure what kind of appreciation for this you can get, but in GoldenEye and Tomorrow Never Dies and the World Is Not Enough, Pierce Brosnan does make an attempt at speaking with a British accent. In this movie, he basically says "fuck that" and just speaks with his normal Irish brogue.
Oh, okay. I think he was trying to pull a Sean Connery, probably, right?
Well, Sean Connery never even attempted to change his voice, and Sean Connery, of course, the definition of a Scotsman,
right?
And actually, it's interesting that Sean Connery Ian Fleming did not want Sean Connery to play Bond because he didn't envision Bond as a Scotsman, but he was so impressed by Sean Connery's performance in Dr. No that he actually, in a later Bond novel, wrote in that Bond has Scottish ancestry. And that's why in Skyfall, the Bond estate is, the Bond family estate is in the Highlands of Scotland.
Yeah.
Which, oddly enough, does not quite fit in for Daniel Craig, because Daniel Craig is not Scottish. Whoa! What the hell? Bill, I don't know what's going on your end. I'm just hearing a loud buzzing noise. So I want to apologize for anyone who is hearing that. Apparently there's some technical difficulties on his side. I will continue, though, this commentary until Bill is ready to return. That was something shocking, and I do apologize for that. So, is everything all right on your end, Bill? No, apparently not. Anyway, so what is going on is Pierce Brosnan has just been told by Judi Dench that he is not allowed to return to work, even though he's eager to do so. And so Pierce Brosnan pulls a face-off here and gets ready to break out of prison or the hospital or prison hospital. Bill, I see you're back. Or maybe not back. Never mind. Technical difficulties again. We have kind of a artsy-fartsy scene of Bond remembering being tortured, and so there's some PTSD. This could have been, like, at this point, this could have been an interesting dark turn that the series took. But they didn't choose to do it, as you'll soon see. And cut to a weirdly slow motion sequence that doesn't make a lot of sense, and Bond slowing his heart rate artificially, which, okay, I guess. I mean, I know that there's some methods people have learned to do that, but then he'd go at he just straight up defibrillate, however you pronounce it. He defibs the heart of a doctor, which probably could kill him. Just kind of baffling.
What?
Hey, Bill, you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, what happened?
Someone came to my door, and I tried to mute my microphone.
There was a loud alarm noise I heard.
That's my bad. No, I guess my microphone's weird, and it has a mute button on it, but it's more effective to use the mute in Google Hangouts.
Ah, okay.
What I did was I pushed the mute button on the microphone, and it must have malfunctioned or something.
Oh, it malfunctioned all right. I got my ears raped by it.
I apologize. Yeah, I apologize for that.
That's all right, though. So Bond has escaped because he basically was told by his by M that he was not cleared for duty and he wouldn't be allowed to investigate.
Did you see that city behind him? Jesus. It looks like a... I know it's supposed to be Hong Kong, but it looks like a cartoon city. It looks like the Ninja Turtles might be over there, or the Tick might be over there.
It did look kind of like some sort of weird process shot, but I don't know. It could have been. They do love using real locations in these Bond films when they can.
We've brought up the film UHF a few times in our videos, and I'll ask you, like, have you ever listened to the commentary for UHF?
I have. It's wonderful.
There's a shot. I can't remember the guy's name. The guy that throws the poodles out the window, Raoul.
Yeah, Raoul something.
There's a shot Weird Al points out. He's like, everybody thinks this is green screen, but it isn't. And like that can happen sometimes on film where something looks like it's digital or it's fake, but it's not.
Well, it's just a trick of the camera because, I mean, film is a two-dimensional medium. And so sometimes, I mean, it's the same thing nowadays. Like sometimes practical effects appear to be CGI just because we're so used to seeing it. So we just have our first Bond girl who he's going to bed.
He's not gonna fuck. Oh man.
And her name, by the way, in keeping with the long trend of sexual Bond names, is Peaceful Fountains of Desire. That's the name she gives. It's not particularly creative.
Whoa!
Oh.
Who's behind there?
What? Chinese intelligence.
Oh, shit.
This is actually sort of a reference to From Russia with Love, wherein From Russia with Love, he beds the Russian girl, and while he's bedding her, they cut back and see that Bond's being filmed by a Russian crew.
If you're really interested in this commentary, we actually did a From Russia with Love commentary, but it's not on this channel. It's on Ken Ekman. You got to YouTube search Ken Ekman, and you'll come across the channel that commentary is on. But it's interesting that they reference that movie specifically because it's the one that I watched with you a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm.
This movie is a very referential Bond film. I think because it was the 40th anniversary of Bond, they went out of their way to do a lot of inside Bond references. And that also is to the movie's detriment. To an extent, if you do too many references, it becomes self-parody.
How high up on the preferred Bond list is Pierce Brosnan?
Preferred Bond list? Well,
I'm not really getting shit from him.
I think he was great in GoldenEye, and Tomorrow Never Dies. I enjoy quite a bit too. But I would say, honestly, and I'm not even, some people will call me a crazy person. I am a huge Timothy Dalton fan. I think Timothy Dalton was, as a performer, the best Bond. I am in the minority. I fully am aware of that. But he injected a humanity to the character that I don't think any other Bond has quite nailed. Sean Connery is the classic Bond, so I can't take that away from him.
Right.
And now we have Bond in Cuba, which until just this year, an American could not legally go to Cuba.
What, they couldn't get Cheech Marin to play this guy?
Cheech Marin's not Cuban, so...
I know he's not Cuban, but doesn't... Like, this dude looks like a Cheech... Like, this could have been a Cheech Marin character.
I'm glad they did not cast Cheech Marin in this. Wow. That would be just too much.
Those are saved for the Machete movies.
So here we have a Cuban fake cigarette factory. And I don't even know if those exist in Cuba, but they could. Who knows?
This dude could be played by Christoph Waltz.
As you know, we're presented with the home of the most interesting man in the world.
This guy could be played by Christoph Waltz.
He doesn't always smoke cigars, but when he does, he's drinking a Dos Equis while doing it.
His name is Belosh. Belloc.
Belloc. That's
Belloc.
This is not Indiana Jones, which
I wish.
do you realize that Steven Spielberg lobbied for years to do a Bond film, and Indiana Jones was sort of his. It was kind of his Bond film. It was his way of doing a James Bond.
Well, that's a discussion to build upon, because it's like he got George Lucas involved, and the question there lies: if his goal was to make a Bond-like film, how did the adventure serial aspect of it come into play?
Oh, I'm sure Lucas played a part in it, but I love the Indiana Jones movies.
Oh, no, yeah. Well, with the exception.
I love 3 of the 4 of them. and the 4th one is, I treat it much like I treat the Die Hard movies from the last decade, meaning they don't exist. They're not actual movies.
Yeah.
Rumors of their existence is, Oh, A Field Guide to Birds, which Bond is looking at. There's another inside reference. The character James Bond was named after an author of The Field Guide to Birds. Mm-hmm. And the reason Ian Fleming chose the name of James Bond is because he was looking at The Field Guide to Birds, and he said, that name seems like a completely unexceptional name, a perfect spy's name. Mm-hmm. Which is ironic, because nowadays...
That's a badass name.
Oh, yeah, but to him, it sounded like a completely unexceptional one. And it's the power of badassery that he was able to turn it into a cool name. Now the classic Cuban cars that haven't been updated. In Cuba, it's famous for the fact that most of the cars there...
I gotta turn this up and listen to the score for a second. What are they doing?
Well, he's in Cuba, so you got to throw in a little bit of Cubano in the music.
I don't think that's what this is.
Little Buena Vista Social Club.
His license plate says particular.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
I don't either. All right, now Bond orders a mojito because those were really popular in 2002.
that's actually really accurate.
I don't know why they were so popular. You know, a mojito is just a mint julep, but with tequila instead of whiskey.
Mint julep.
That's all it is.
What if Ford Fairlane showed up in this movie?
Oh, man. How about Remo Williams? And so Bond is looking over this big building, which I don't know if you probably missed it. There's a clinic that he's going to be going to. It's like a plastic surgery clinic.
I got an interesting
before you say that, we have the reveal of Halle Berry.
No, we don't need to talk about this.
Oh, sure we do. It's Halle Berry, and
listen.
Halle Berry is.
Well, see, what's funny to me is that like the world saw this and they're like, "Oh, she's so hot." As a little kid, I saw her in the live-action Flintstones, and I was like, "She's fucking hot," you know, like.
Oh yeah, well, she is hot. She's also not particularly good in this movie, and
she's not good in a lot of stuff.
She's an Oscar winner, huh?
Is that true?
Yes, for Monsters Ball.
Monsters Ball.
I haven't seen the movie, so I actually can't attest to it. I can attest to her performance in this film, though.
Yeah.
That said, I admit I'm a.
She kind of plays. She's very Bond girl-like in the Flintstones movie, isn't she?
Kinda. Yeah. I mean, it's cartoonish, but you're right. Yeah. I mean, of course, Bond can be cartoonish.
Yeah. In fact, the Flintstones has done James Bond, The Man Called Flintstone.
So they just threw in the only character bit you're going to get from Halle Berry in this entire movie, in that her character is named Jinx because she was born on Friday the 13th.
Jinx?
Yep.
Whatever. God damn, Meet the Parents came out before this, and they really went with that name.
Well, the irony is this movie, combined with Catwoman, jinxed her career.
Oh, shit. That was brilliant. That was good.
It's actually interesting.
Catwoman is at least Catwoman's kind of interesting in how bad it is.
Well, I don't mean to harp on Halle Berry because I think she has done some decent performances, and also here's the fact is that she was a boss with. She actually is one of the few people to accept the Razzie for Worst Actress in person.
I can respect that. But to turn around and do movie 43?
Well, that was years later, man.
It doesn't fucking matter, man. That shit was so bad.
There were a lot of people behind movie 43 who...
I don't give them any leeway either.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck.
Fuck. I saw it in theaters, and I regretted every minute.
Oh my god, dude! Like, yeah, I watched it later. I watched it after the fact.
This is a Bond first, by the way. There has never been a Bond sex scene where you're actually seeing him doing the deed.
Oh.
Every Bond film starts with them getting into bed, and usually they'll kiss, and then it cuts away to the after effects, to the afterglow. But no, now you get to see Bond actually come, and that's an unpleasant thing because his facial reaction is, The one thing about Pierce Brosnan as Bond that's been pointed out numerous times is he does.
Yeah.
His facial reactions can be pretty exaggerated.
Mm-hmm.
So you just fuck a woman and she immediately takes out a knife. At that point, I'm panicking.
If this was Spy Hard, he would throw her off of him. Which is, again, my experience with James Bond stuff would be shit like Spy Hard.
Yeah.
Which I like Spy Hard. I will defend Spy Hard. Like, a lot of people say that the Zucker-Abrams team-up kind of failed at Spy Hard, but I like Spy Hard. Spy Hard makes me laugh.
I don't know that was a Zucker-Abrams film.
It's definitely Zucker. Maybe not Abrams.
I'm pretty sure Jim Abrams split.
It's one or the other. It's one or the other. I don't remember. Whoever fucking Nielsen was still working with, because whoever made Spy Hard also made that Wrongfully Accused and whatever other ones they did after the fact, you know.
I really hate to say this, Bill, but when you hear this, you're going to freak a little bit.
What is it?
Spy Hard was...
Oh, it's by fucking... What are their names? Tell me their names.
Friedberg and Seltzer.
Friedberg and Seltzer. I did know this, actually.
I actually will defend Spy Hard 2.
Yeah, Spy Hard. I like Spy Hard. It makes me laugh.
But here's the thing. This was not the Friedberg and Seltzer movies of, like,
no. They wrote on the first Scary Movie, too, which has some funny stuff in it.
Yeah, but what Spy Hard had going for it was Leslie Nielsen, and I love Andy Griffith as the villain.
Yes, I completely agree with you on that. Andy Griffith.
It's like if you've ever seen National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1, which if you haven't, get on it because William Shatner is the main villain, and he hams it up in a wonderful way.
Another thing about Spy Hard, who's the guy?
And Tim Curry's in it too, and you're a Tim Curry fan, so.
In what?
Tim Curry
is in what?
National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1.
I've never seen that one, so I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
That's the Lethal Weapon parody.
Yes.
Yeah. Going back to Spy Hard, though, the guy that plays the mayor in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? You know what I'm talking about?
You're talking about, I believe he's a senator. But yeah, I know who you're referring to. He's in a ton of Coen Brothers movies.
He plays like the head of the secret organization in Spy Hard, and he's always trying to hide. Do you remember there's a scene where he pretends to be a chair and shit?
Yes.
That dude's funny as shit, man.
Mm-hmm.
Love that guy.
And that's Charles Durning, by the way.
Yes. That guy's great. I love that guy.
He's, storied career as a character actor. I mean, he was in everything from The Sting to Dog Day Afternoon.
Does that face on the wall look like the troll face? Didn't it a little bit?
A little bit. A little bit.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
So this is the weirdest hospital I've ever seen. Just, it does not seem like a hospital would look, but you know, it's...
No.
So basically, to fill you in, because I know following the plot of this is a little baffling, is basically Bond has found out that one of the people responsible for his capture in North Korea is undergoing plastic surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is, you know, your classic face switch movie is what you're going to be seeing, but I will not give away the ultimate. Halle Berry's a North Korean man. No, that would be interesting. Actually, I would almost respect that if that was the twist they chose. So Halle Berry just straight up kills a doctor. And I don't know if you know this, Bill, but they were liking Halle Berry in this movie so much that they actually were working on a screenplay for a spin-off following her character of Jinx. That it was going to be a solo Jinx spy movie.
And that, thankfully, has never happened.
No,
a Bond girl spin-off movie.
It actually, the reason why it didn't is because there were a series of female-led action movies following this movie that tanked at the box office.
Elektra.
Yeah, they got cold feet. That was basically what happened.
In fact, Underworld. Underworld is the one that kind of like broke the mold with that shit, right?
Yeah, I think, yeah, Underworld kind of was... That was one of them.
They've made, what, like 4 fucking sequels?
Yeah. 3, at least.
I know there is a trilogy, but isn't there a 4th one? Because like the 3rd one was about werewolves, or no, they're all about werewolves, right? I don't know. I've never watched those fucking movies.
It's about werewolves versus vampires.
Is it wrong that I start to doubt people's taste when they tell me they like those movies?
No, it's not wrong.
I've never seen them. I haven't. Yeah, I don't have any.
Paul W.S. Anderson is a schlocky filmmaker, and his work on the Resident Evil movies is, I think, speaks for itself.
Those are like kind of entertaining, though, right?
No,
they can be like 4.
I've only actually seen the first one and the one that's in like Las Vegas, and neither were at all in the least bit fun.
Again, I hate to do this, but fuck it. Red Letter Media, they did a video where they watched all the Resident Evil movies.
So Jinx apparently gets C4 explosives from the same manufacturer as James Bond, because she had the exact same little brick of C4 with the logo that says C4 on it. Which,
John Malkovich is getting away.
Korean John Malkovich.
Ripped ass John Malkovich.
And Halle Berry kind of fucked up. Her bomb just stopped Bond from catching the bad guy. And Halle Berry is certainly not going to be of any help.
Oh, I wish you could see my face right now. Just constantly, like, intrigued by decisions this film makes.
So Bond just used a CO2 canister as a rocket, which...
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean... There are some interesting elements in this movie. Here's the thing. Even the worst Bond films, I find things to appreciate in.
Right.
Which is, it's probably just because of the fact that I'm a unabashed fan of Bond cliches.
No, I think if you want my honest opinion, as somebody that's completely on the outside of this whole thing, hold on, let me turn my volume down here a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think because this is such a big franchise that they kind of have to get respectable people to work on it, and therefore it'll always yield interesting results. Whereas you were saying...
You just missed Halle Berry literally wink at the camera.
Well, let me finish here, which is that, like...
Sorry.
you made a comment where you were like, even the worst Bond films have something to appreciate in them. The worst Star Wars films don't have something to appreciate in them.
I would agree.
That's the difference. You know what I mean?
Actually, I should tell you, Bill, that speaking of the worst Star Wars films, last night I was at a bachelor party for a friend of mine, and Zach was with too. And just to put this in perspective, he's a big the bachelor in question was a big Star Wars fan, and we watched both of the Ewoks movies last night.
What?
Yep.
What? Did you have fun?
We watched Ewoks, Caravan of Courage, and Ewoks, The Battle for Endor.
You and Zach, though, like that's a good combo to watch a shitty movie.
Oh, well, it was great because Zach and I and a couple of the other people were just making fun of it the whole time. And this guy unabashedly loves these movies. Like, we're talking completely unapologetically loves them.
Well, let me just really quick, just a little window of kind of what's I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. I saw this shit like on Disney Channel in the 90s. I like the first Ewok adventure movie, and I was like, what is this? This is a real thing that exists? And once, sort of when Wikipedia came around, I looked it up again, and I was like, oh, this is a thing that I saw as a kid. This is a thing that exists. And it's just sort of this, it's like an island unto itself. Like, it just exists, and it's there, and it's fucking weird.
You know what? It's a very weird couple of movies because, honestly, as bad as they are, they make some interesting choices that I can't even say are necessarily uncreative.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, you're right. First of all, Wilford Brimley's in one of them.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, and the other one...
Jesus.
Here's the thing. The other one is narrated by Burl Ives. And, by the way... James Bond is now using London Calling for no other reason than Bond is flying to London.
Oh, gee.
Yeah.
The song. London Calling.
It's a cool song. The Clash are pretty sweet, and it's such a cliched choice. Bond's flying to London, so they play London Calling. Just so you know, this is one of only like 2 or 3 moments in the entire Bond series that use licensed music. And the other notorious one being in A View to a Kill, when Bond is skiing and they play California Girls. But not even the actual Beach Boys original version. Some weird, like, unlicensed cover of it. And now we're introduced to a new character who is... a weird-looking... I don't think his character is technically supposed to be British. I forget where he's supposed to be from. You still there, Bill? Oh, seemed to have jumped off. Well, so Gustav Graves, who looks every bit the smarmy millionaire British person. And there is Gone Girl herself. She wouldn't break out for another decade and change. Really fascinating that she has a prominent performance in this film. I actually didn't even remember that because this is a Bond film that I don't revisit too terribly often. Now, Bill, whether you can hear me or not, Madonna is about to make her appearance. And Madonna, here she is. Because, yeah. Hoo-hoo. Been known to keep my tip up. Now that's a Bond quote. Beckoning Bond to tie her. A sword fighting club, which Bond is apparently a member of. Oh. Miranda Frost. So, of course, you can't have, per Chekhov's gun, a sword fight, or rather a sword sequence without a sword fight occurring. And we will definitely get one. Now, I can't see Gone Girl without that referencing that horrible, horrible scene in the movie where she fakes a rape between her and Neil Patrick Harris. That is creepy scene. I don't like cockfights, says Madonna. Somewhat interesting, considering sword fighting is essentially a stand-in for that. And if she's a trainer, I mean, you would think that would make her some sort of a expert in that. Betting on sword fighting, now that is special. Bond, always tipping your fucking hand.
All right, I'm back.
So you, I don't know if you've been watching during the technical difficulty, but
No,
you missed Madonna's appearance.
I'm gonna need a time code in a second.
You had a technical issue?
My computer overheated and rebooted.
Oh. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I will give you the time code.
Give me one
when
second.
you're ready.
Yeah.
But right now, the famous sword fight scene is happening.
Famous.
Famous because it was a very heavily choreographed scene, and it's actually a relatively violent and crazy fight. Even though it plays almost no bearing on the plot, and it makes the mistake of Bond tipping his hand to a villain very early.
All right, I'm ready for that time code.
All right. It will be 57 minutes and 30 seconds in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 57 minutes, 30 seconds. You should be watching Bond sword fight like crazy.
All right, I was 10 seconds ahead. I should be good now. In fact,
my question is, with all this, I mean, because this is a sword fighting club, they're literally destroying the place. Who's paying for the damages? I mean, maybe. I mean, this guy he's fighting is supposed to be a millionaire, so maybe he's footing the bill. He's trying to kill Bond, clearly. I mean, that's goes without saying. And Pierce is giving it his physical all in this fight. I have to give him a lot of credit for that.
okay.
So
I just hear a lot of metal clanging on your end, and I'm not exactly sure if I'm 100% on point, but I'm in the neighborhood.
all right, well, the sword fight just stopped. So
Yeah. Okay. The girl's there.
yeah.
This dude looking like fucking Right Said, not Drop Dead Fred. I almost called him Right Said Fred.
Right, said Fred.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Rick Mayall looking motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
Is Eddie Izzard the new Rick Mayall?
Wow.
I don't know.
That's
bold statements, I know.
I don't think they're referencing the damages. Yeah, because they just destroyed that fucking place. I mean,
This girl must be his financial advisor. She's like, you know,
yeah, she is, and
this idiot makes decisions, and I gotta clean him up, and
you know what, I had to mention, I can't look at her at all without immediately thinking of her like in Gone Girl, just fucking up Neil Patrick Harris in the worst ways.
I still haven't watched that movie.
Oh man,
I gotta get around to it.
She is. I think the movie's flawed, but I think she's the highlight. She is hilarious to watch because she's just so evil.
David Fincher made a comedy.
It's not a comedy, but it's not supposed to be a comedy, but I find it hilarious.
Okay, I get that. I've had that with movies like American Hustle's pretty funny. Nobody.
Well, American Hustle's got some intentionally comedic elements, I would say.
That's true.
So now Bond is going into a underground platform on the bridge, and
The bridge. Oh, it's a subway.
And he's meeting up with M.
Who's she played by now?
M. Well, M has been played by Judi Dench since GoldenEye, and in Skyfall, spoiler alert, she's no longer going to be playing M.
Skyfall's out already.
Right. What I say is she's no longer going to be playing M. Is her character was killed in Skyfall. So, like I said, spoiler alert.
Yeah. I know her name is M, and I think of Emma Thompson. Should they recast this character as Emma Thompson?
Well, actually, the next Bond film, Spectre, M is going to be played. Just so M, as you know, is a call sign. It's not an actual person's name.
Right.
And M is going to be played by, oh, Jesus, now I'm brain farting on his name.
It's a dude now.
Yeah, well, M was a dude for years.
Mm-hmm.
They switch it up. Ralph Fiennes, that's right.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. I'm sure he'll do a good job. It's just an odd choice, I feel like.
Well, if you're not as familiar with Bond films, he's a perfect choice for M.
Okay.
M has to. Here's the thing. M is meant to be a dapper English character. Now, Judi Dench was an interesting choice because it was the first woman M, but I think she was a great choice because she was, I think, at the time in the early mid 90s, she was like just starting to rise to, internationally in her fame as a Very classy actress, and it very much the female equivalent of an M character, and she carried it because she plays a very tough. To use I would call this a anachronistic language because it's not particularly PC. She's a tough old broad.
Okay, I mean that's
meant as a compliment. She does that well. Now, one thing that's bothered me is since Tomorrow Never Dies, Bond has not used his classic Walther PPK. And I know that the Walther PPK is an ancient pistol by modern standards, but it's such a cool-looking pistol. The P99 just doesn't have the same cool look. Oh! Suddenly everything is different. He's at MI6, and it looks like people are dead. Moneypenny looked like she was dead, and Bond is fighting people in MI6. What's going on? What possibly could be happening, Bill? Do you have any idea what's going on?
I don't even know what MI6 is.
That's the name of the agency Bond works for.
Right, but that's what I'm getting at. Is like that's how much investment I have in what's going on.
MI6 stands for Military Intelligence 6, and it's the actual international spying agency that Britain has.
I don't even.
Bond shoots them in order to shoot the terrorists, and it's a holodeck. What? That's right. MI6 has a holodeck.
He
right
had
out of
Cyclops.
Star Trek.
He had fucking Cyclops glasses.
Right. Well,
X-Men had just come out. Whatever.
yeah, and it's just the thing to be super sci-fi. Let's inject that into Bond and give him like that's the problem. This movie has sci-fi gadgets from this point forward. Don't get me wrong, I love the choice of John Cleese filling in as Q.
Ooh.
And I think recasting, I think he should have still been Q when they reintroduced him in Skyfall. But they chose to go with a younger person, unfortunately.
Did this come out the same year as Pluto Nash?
Pluto Nash, I think, was 2000 or 2001.
No, it was 02 or 03.
Really?
Yeah, I'm 100% sure on that. I don't hate Pluto Nash. I've seen it multiple times. I do not hate Pluto Nash.
Okay, that's.
I know. We should do a commentary.
John Cleese just gave Bond a watch and said, "That's your 20th, I believe." Once again, referencing the fact that there are 20 Bond films at this point.
Oh,
this movie loves to reference. Oh, here is the biggest sci-fi gadget Bond has.
Mm-hmm.
Take a look and tell me what you think. Got to hear your reaction. Yep, you just saw that. Bond has a stealth car. Oh boy. Now, it is worth noting that this Bond movie was the first Bond movie of the Pierce Brosnan era that didn't have a video game directly related to it. Instead, they went for a couple of Bond video games. One was James Bond 007 Agent Under Fire, and then the one that came out around the time of this game was Nightfire, which was sort of a sequel. Neither had any plot that was related to the movie. Mm-hmm. But all of the gadgets featured in this film were featured in the movie.
Oh.
Or, I'm sorry, were featured in the game, rather.
Mm-hmm.
So you get to drive the Aston Martin Vanish. Yeah. Because it's stealth.
Right.
This was the first Aston Martin Bond car for a while, actually. A lot of people complain in Casino Royale because in Casino Royale, technically the Bond car is a Ford. He does end up getting his Aston Martin back in it, but just the concept of Bond driving a Ford around is... you think of Bond driving, crazy, expensive cars. And
Built Ford tough.
Exactly.
Fucking Bob Seger's Like a Rock starts playing.
Like a rock.
Yeah.
That song was so ruined for me from that ad campaign, but then I saw the Nicolas Cage movie, The Weatherman, and that scene with him and Michael Caine in the middle of the movie that uses the song is such a beautifully shot and beautifully composed scene. It really won it over for me. I love that song again.
I'm a Gore Verbinski fan, and I haven't seen that movie yet, so I gotta. That's something I need to do.
Now, this ice hotel was actually a set built for the movie, and it took something like 6 months to complete.
Oh, Gore Verbinski directing a Bond film.
Wow. I hate to say it, as much as I enjoy Gore Verbinski movies, to an extent, he has he makes the kind of mistakes that would make a bad Bond film. Like
True.
when Gore Verbinski's movies are good, they're very good, but when they're bad, they are really fucking. I know you love Mouse Hunt. That was one of his first, I believe.
I do love Mouse Hunt. Mouse Hunt, I don't know how to explain it. Like, Mouse Hunt is a cartoon come to life.
And it's a cartoon come to life done well. Sometimes those fail miserably.
Mm-hmm. Mouse Hunt has the good foresight to, A, make its characters relatable, but B, also kind of go into some dark territory.
Yeah, Mouse Hunt is surprisingly dark.
Yeah.
Which
the first like 5 minutes is them, they're pallbearers for their father, and the body gets launched out of the casket into the fucking sewer.
Yeah. And you know what? Nathan Lane is a great physical comedian.
The dude that's the co-star of that film, I don't know his name, and he's not in a lot of stuff, but every time I see that guy, I like him.
Oh, I forget his name. I know who you're talking about, and
yeah. He's good in Mouse Hunt, and he's good in other things. Like, he's in The Ladies' Man, which is... Have you ever seen The Ladies' Man?
Lee Evans is his name.
Tim Meadows' only starring performance, to my knowledge, The Ladies' Man.
Yeah, I have not seen it.
Oh, it's a waste of time, honestly. But I grew up with that sketch. Like, that was a staple of Saturday Night Live when I was growing up. So I think I felt obligated to see it eventually.
Yeah, Lee Evans wasn't in a whole lot of movies. He's an English actor who it looks like he does a lot of
stage.
Looking at it, actually, he does stand-up comedy. That's like his main thing.
Oh, okay. He was good in Mouse Hunt. Like him and Nathan Lane, they worked really well together as brothers.
There was a stretch in the late 90s. He was in a series of big movies. He was in The Fifth Element, Mouse Hunt, There's Something About Mary, and The Ladies' Man all in a row.
He is in There's Something About Mary. He's the pizza guy.
Yeah, he's Tucker.
Yeah. No, he's not a pizza guy. He's like a professor.
Yeah, well, he is the pizza guy, but he plays a professor.
Yes.
Remember Tucker? He has that British accent and stuff, which is funny because he actually is British. But then at the end of the movie, he's just the pizza delivery guy. I'm not Tucker. I'm Norm.
Absolutely, yes. I know exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah. And he's done a couple movies here and there since then, but nothing particularly important. I think he just probably went to focus on stand-up comedy. That would be my assumption.
That's fine.
He's been in some Doctor Who, it looks like.
Ah, okay.
But yeah,
they put a lot of their stand-ups on Doctor Who, the British.
Mm-hmm.
What? Aside from John Cleese, how many comedians have been in James Bond films?
Well, it's interesting you say that. You mentioned "Diamonds Are Forever" earlier offhand by like singing.
Yes, I did.
A little bit. There is a scene in "Diamonds Are Forever" because "Diamonds Are Forever," a good portion of it takes place in Vegas, where you see a cliched, like stock Vegas comedian character, and I believe the actor who played it was a real comedian.
Mhm.
But I'm trying to remember what his name was. In the movie, his character's name is Shady Tree. And the gimmick was he was Shady Tree, and there were a couple women, like showgirls, who performed near him. And it was called Shady Tree and His Acorns. Yeah. Let's see, who plays Shady Tree? A very old dude. So he's like an old guard kind of comedian. I'm pretty sure he was Leonard Barr.
Never heard of him.
He was interesting. He was Dean Martin's uncle.
That's weird.
Yeah, we're talking old guy. He died in 1980 at 77 years old. So anyway,
which, ironically, might be around the same time Dean Martin died.
No, Martin died in the 90s.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So apparently he did stand-up comedy most of his life, but he had some appearances. He was in an episode of MASH. He was on the Odd Couple TV series, but most famous for his appearance in "Diamonds Are Forever" as Shady Tree and His Acorns. And
I was gonna say he's the band from Animal House.
Oh yeah, well that became a real thing.
Yeah, but maybe this didn't. But he's the British version of that.
Otis Day and the Knights.
Otis Day and the Knights. Yeah.
Great name for a band, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he apparently Otis Day and the Knights has made a career of mostly playing like fraternity parties and stuff.
More power to him.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's got to be like the top act. Like throw them a couple $100, play a frat party, and people remember that forever because they got to wear a toga and dance to Shout.
Yeah. I mean,
all right, and now we see the tool that the main villain has, which is a satellite with a ton of diamonds that creates artificial light. It's like an artificial sun.
this, first of all, Tim Burton turned the lights down on the first Batman movie. Second of all, I hope none of these people bust out into Gangnam Style. Oh, good. Tim Burton turned the lights down on the first Batman movie. So here we are in front of Gotham Bank.
You're right. This very much has that feeling of the first.
Oh, completely. 100%.
They're supposed to be in Iceland, but apparently not a single member of the main cast filmed in Iceland. Everything you see with Bond in it was shot at Pinewood Studios in England.
Oh, man.
We got off on a non-Bond tangent, but to be fair, the movie kind of slows down at this point, and
yeah.
But we're about to see Bond use his stealth car.
Going back to Batman, they're going in this Mr. Freeze lair. What the fuck?
Yeah, I wonder. Well, here's the thing. When I think of Mr. Freeze, I don't think Arnold Schwarzenegger. I grew up watching the Otto Preminger Mr. Freeze from Adam West.
That's interesting because I grew up with the animated series, and
that was a good one too. But
yeah.
my memory. Here's the thing: Otto Preminger, and then actually Eli Wallach also played him in an episode.
They're both good. Yes, I've seen those. They're both good. The thing about the animated series, Mr. Freeze, is that they added that backstory with his wife.
Right, which I think is brilliant, and I agree with you. That is the best Mr. Freeze in terms of like drama, because it gives him a legitimate backstory where you can empathize. He's robbing banks because what he wants is to be able to pay for the research to cure his wife. That's heartbreaking. All right, so he just got a power glove. The main villain has now an electric-powered glove, and he loves the power glove. It's so bad. Bond is so stealthy. Punches a guy right in front of a window that clearly had another guard standing at it. Like, that's smart. And every villain's lair has that pressure valve that, if you turn it, creates mass havoc. Oh man, Bond, be careful. You don't want to bang the wrong girl, and particularly this one. Rosamund Pike will fuck your life up. I wouldn't be surprised. Is Rosamund Pike married? Because if she isn't married already, I think she might have trouble finding suitors after Gone Girl.
Possibly.
I'm actually looking that up right now. I'm hoping that she already has a long-term relationship.
Well, that's the thing. I was going to say, I'm sure she was married before Gone Girl was even filmed.
Okay, she's not married, but she has a long-term relationship with a person she's been with since 2009, and she has 2 children from that.
Oh, okay. Well,
so that's good. That's good. Because if
I will say this, and I know you don't agree with me, but Will Smith and Jada Pinkett, that was kind of surprising to me. That kind of hit me, where I'm like, oh, that didn't work out.
Yeah.
I'm kind of questioning, like, does anybody work out in life?
You know what?
Will and Jada, they were my. I looked up to them. I thought they were the best, and now they're not together anymore, and I don't know what to do. I don't know what.
Are you gonna cry?
No, I'm kidding.
I know. I'm just.
Yeah, Will and Jada though.
Rosamund Pike, give us a little bit more of that Gone Girl swagger.
Let's see that back. She is cute.
Well, she's got a classy beauty to her. She really does. Yeah, I dig it. I do. I like the classy look. Here's the thing. The look that bothers me is like the white trash hot, which I know some people love. Like the back tattoo and the bike.
I don't like that
and shit.
But does wearing boots fit under that?
Well, I mean, it depends on the kind of boots.
Yeah, I guess it's debatable. I like a girl in boots. I'm not a fan of tattoos. I'm not a fan of piercings, so that's automatically out.
Tattoos bother me. Piercings, other than ear piercings, I just don't. I don't even understand the concept of an ear piercing.
I don't understand the concept of piercings or tattoos in general, but
I mean, I can get behind ear piercing only to the extent of people have been doing it for ages, and but like nose piercing in particular is just stupid. I'm sorry. There's no reason to do it other than you want to make yourself guaranteed that you will never be hired for a desk job.
Right.
And that's not to insult people who don't have desk jobs. I don't mean to sound that way, but it's just it makes you look ugly. Why would you voluntarily do that to yourself? So Korean John Malkovich has just captured Halle Berry.
Is he the bad guy?
Well, he along with the British guy who Bond had the sword fight with are kind of co-bad guys at this point.
Korean John Malkovich.
Well, that's what you called him, and even though
I know, I mean, it's fitting.
I don't even necessarily. I mean, I see a couple comparisons, but he's got his power glove, and he loves the power glove. It's so bad. I can't not say that. It's
in my defense, I made the John Malkovich comment when he was running away from the camera, and all I saw was the back of his head.
I don't care, though. I'm going to call him that because I love that.
It is good. I like it. Laser in the snow. This is fucking stupid. Laser in the snow.
Well, it's yeah, and here's another Bond callback. His laser watch was used in GoldenEye for him to escape the train. Yeah, she won't talk because you just knocked her out, dick.
Whoa, that is not a real laser. That was like stop motion. That was a stop motion laser arm. Nice. That ice can't be that thick.
Well,
Ooh.
it's actually worth noting that the ice can be pretty thick.
Mm-hmm.
My folks have a place up in northern Wisconsin, and
How is he surviving? I guess he's got the clothes on and shit, but like barefaced?
the cold is he has to be totally. I don't know. The shock of the cold water should be fucking him up. But yeah. But even in northern Wisconsin, they'll during high winter, we can see like 3 feet of ice or more.
I made a George of the Jungle reference earlier, but this is ridiculous.
Boom, 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 boom.
You know, when the live action George of the Jungle movie came out, like it was a big deal to me at the time. I don't know as far as like national consciousness how big of a deal it was, but I remember I was actually at a place where live band was playing, and I begged them to play the George of the Jungle theme. And they did it, and it was fun. It was great for me as a little kid.
I enjoyed it at the time, but I guarantee it would not be particularly good anymore.
No, I think we should go back and maybe double feature that with Dudley Do-Right.
Are you enjoying Bond's fist fight amongst the lasers?
These cannot be actual laser arms. These have to be stop motion. These have got to be stop motion laser arms.
I don't know that they're stop motion. I think they're CGI, actually.
Oh, God. Well, then it's not bad CG if I'm confusing it for stop motion.
Or they could be practical, I suppose. And you know what? They may be practical arms. The laser effects themselves are clearly CGI. I love how Halle Berry just like immediately was able to aim the laser perfectly.
Oh, God, that just happened.
Yep.
They just shot a laser through his mouth. What did it say in the script? Halle Berry grabs the control and shoots a laser through his mouth?
Probably. It's too bad Bond didn't. Bond should have thrown in some quip like, that's no way to shine a light on the subject.
I gotta say, when we started this commentary, I was not convinced that Pierce Brosnan is Bond. And now that we're an hour and 26 minutes into this movie, I'm still not convinced that Pierce Brosnan is Bond.
Well, how many Bond films have you've seen? You've seen GoldenEye, right?
I've seen GoldenEye, and that was Bond. That was the dude right there. That was the guy that I could watch and be like, that's the fucking guy. Pierce Brosnan here, on the other hand, I don't know what the fuck I'm watching.
My favorite Pierce Brosnan Bond film is The Matador, which is not a Bond film, but
that's newer, right? Yeah, like that just came.
No, it came out in like 2005 or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a couple years after this. Well, maybe a little after. Actually, no, it was like 2008 or so. Sometime after Casino Royale came out, when it was just definite that he would never play Bond again. The Matador is kind of like, what would happen to James Bond if he became A, unemployed, and B, riddled with post-traumatic stress disorder? And
that's an interesting film, yeah.
And it's played for comedy. Basically what happens is his character on a mission meets up with Greg Kinnear. And he winds up like he's a lousy alcoholic, and he winds up like just shacking up with Greg Kinnear because he's literally the only human being that he's ever met who he felt sort of friendly with. It's a hilarious and sad movie. It's fun to watch, actually. I recommend it. Sounds like steam escaping.
Oh god. Fucking soda just exploded all over me.
Sounded like a pretty big explosion.
I fucked up.
Yeah, don't want to shake those bottles. They will do that.
I didn't shake it, but...
Is it warm? Because warm soda foams up real quick.
Yeah, I don't have a fridge up here, unfortunately.
There you go. That's why. We have a double betrayal. Rosamund Pike is a bad girl.
Oh, did he try to shoot? Oh, okay. I think I'm ahead of you by a few seconds, and I'm trying to correct that. Should be good now.
And like I said, you should never trust Rosamund Pike because she will fuck you up.
Right.
I can't stress that enough. It's just the facts. I'm serious. I literally would be afraid of her if I met her because she was scary and going, girl. Halle Berry, always loving those all-leather outfits.
Iceman, let me out! I'm Storm! Oh, I'm sorry, wrong movie. Sorry, everybody.
The Iceman cometh. Dick. I'm Mr. Sparkling Personality. He's deformed. Bond isn't nice to deformed people. And Bond has a ring that breaks glass. Because, yeah.
Why not? Kill him quietly.
Oh yeah, so one of the big reveals you missed is that that the British guy, bad guy Graves, is actually a Korean. Because of plastic surgery. Remember that plot point?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can't stress this enough. Pierce Brosnan was never in Iceland, so they managed to cut around it. Like, everything you see of Pierce Brosnan in a close cut was filmed in London. And everything else was second unit work.
What?
Pleasure of the kill is in the chase.
Yeah, but why did he look at her like that? Like, he's gonna fuck her?
Well, probably. I mean, it's a Bond movie, so women are... The thing you have to accept in Bond movies is women are essentially second-class citizens, and that's unfortunate, but it's, you know, that's the way the movies are. They're working on that. The Daniel Craig films are starting to fix that problem.
Right.
To an extent.
They've had multiple women singing the theme songs, so...
Let me put it this way: we've come leaps and bounds from the point in Goldfinger, where Sean Connery smacks a girl on the ass and tells her to go away because man talk. So yeah, the artificial sun that the bad guys created is also a space laser because, well, duh.
Oh my god!
It's so bad, isn't it?
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Still recovering from that CG shot.
I can't comprehend this.
The CG in this is where it just shows in the worst of ways.
I've been watching a lot of Invader Zim lately, and this is something that could happen in Invader Zim, but it would make sense for it to happen in Invader Zim.
Would it?
Completely, yes. No, it would. They could make something like that work. This.
Oh, Bill.
Especially opening up with that gritty World War II look.
Oh, Bill, ready for some Bond windsurfing action?
Oh, this is what I was looking forward to the whole movie. This
He's got
is
a
it.
surfboard.
This is what I thought it would be the whole time.
Oh, yeah. Got to build up to it. You have a close-up shot of the bad guys. They're trying to create, an ice flow to kill Bond. Falling ice that, by the way, I've been to Alaska and I've seen a glacier calve into the ocean. It looks nothing like this. So,
oh, the fakest water I've ever seen.
water is notoriously hard to do with CG, but in this movie in particular. And here's Surfing Bond.
I've seen this.
Yeah.
I've seen this. This is what I was expecting the whole time.
Yeah. I actually kind of forgot that this took so long to get to. It's terrible.
This is great. They should re-release this in 3D.
Imagine Pierce Brosnan doing this on the blue screen in a small studio. Just like, what am I supposed to do? Do I turn my arms a little bit?
Ah! Drop that board. Land real safe. Let this shit go. Let this shit go. There you go. Let it go. Oh, it's on the ground. Yeah, fucking huh.
Yeah, he did kind of give a celebratory. The two women, the femme fatale and the Bond girl, having a little bit of a cat fight.
This is insulting. Oh, they locked her back up in that fucking Mr. Ice.
Yeah,
lair.
the ice dungeon. Oh, yeah, derp.
I mean, I was in the live-action Flintstones, but this is ridiculous.
That shot of Bond, that cutaway shot of Bond riding the snowmobile, by the way, if you pause that, you will see the most obvious stuntman. The Pierce Brosnan era, they couldn't figure out how to shoot stuntmen because, except for GoldenEye, I can't think of a scene in there. Tomorrow Never Dies, World's Not Enough, and Die Another Day all have these wonderfully terrible shots where you can tell it's a fucking stuntman because they show their face. You're not supposed to show the face of the stuntman. That's like, you don't do that.
Rule number 1, yeah.
The World Is Not Enough has the most egregious one because Bond is literally facing the camera, heading towards the camera, and it's clearly a stuntman. And it's not a quick shot either. It's a lengthy shot. So here's the joking car scene with Bond and his invisible car. Played for comedy. Dude in snowmobile hits his invisible car.
Smack my bitch up! Smack my bitch up!
It's invisible car fight time. And, of course, the Korean guy also has his souped-up car with a minigun on it, which, by the way, that minigun is pretty low. I would be afraid of that thing blowing my head off.
Oh, God. So
Yeah,
I just made...
whose head that is? Jeez.
Yes. Oh, my God. That's got to be loud as shit in your ear.
Yes. Of course, I don't think Korean... Korean John Malkovich is going to care. By the way, these cars had to be specially retrofitted with four-wheel drive in order to film this scene. A little bit of trivia I'm sure you don't care about, but car trivia. Both cars have rocket launchers. It's a rocket launcher car duel.
I want to make a new Mad Max movie. Mad Max 4. How will I make Mad Max 4? Mad Max, the Ice Age.
That joke, I'm not quite sure. Why is Arnold Schwarzenegger in Mad Max?
He's the producer. He's trying to get it made.
Why?
I don't know. Just so I could make that Ice Age joke.
Okay.
That's it. That's the only reason.
Don't get me wrong, Bill. Normally I wouldn't criticize a joke that didn't fly, but that one did not fly at all. And another Bond reference uses the ejector seat to avoid being hit by a missile. The ejector seat made famous in Goldfinger.
Yeah.
When it was just that, an ejector seat.
Yeah.
It wasn't a secret weapon to flip the car around.
We're part of the diamond people.
Diamond people?
There was a diamond symbol in the background.
Oh yeah, well, that space laser is made by reflecting diamonds into the sun. So that's all part of the Ovra. And we have the bad guys putting Jinx in a situation. The typical of the Austin Powers kind of Bond things. It's an easily escapable, ridiculous, unusually overly exotic death. And now Bond is going to race around in a melting ice hotel. Which, admittedly, I kind of like the visual element of that. It's interesting. You don't expect a car like that to perform on ice, so
Right.
it's ridiculous, but it's silly fun. Although why no one has died of hypothermia after, like, Pierce Brosnan has been submerged in ice water, and Jinx is now currently submerged in ice water. Both of them should be just dying at this point.
Her name is so terrible.
Yeah, I agree. Now, in any other Bond film, this would be the climax, Bill. We're not at the climax action sequence yet, though.
Oh.
Just thought I'd clue you in on that. This is... Yeah. This movie's... there's still some time left in it. Awful CGI effect of...
Superman's Fortress of Solitude has been brought to the ground.
Yeah, right out of Superman 2. You will kneel before me, son of Jor-El.
I saw Mallrats first, and that's my own fault.
I actually did. I actually did too. So that's
okay.
Yeah.
I saw Superman the movie before that, but yeah, like fucking all the like Zod lines. I think I associate with Mallrats.
Mm-hmm. Oh, time for a Bond quip. No? Oh, yeah, well, that's a problem. You need to have more Bond quips. By the way, another character who survives being submerged in ice without going into shock.
Voldemort.
Except for now.
No, Voldemort!
See, if it was Sean Connery or Roger Moore, after killing him with that giant chandelier, he would have come up with some sort of joke. Oh, and Halle Berry's in trouble. She's submerged in ice. So how does Bond deal with the situation? He fucking drives right into it, probably killing her in the process.
Halle Berry be damned.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure smashing through the ice wall like that would immediately kill her.
Yeah.
And probably him, too. By the way, throughout all of these ice scenes, one thing you'll notice is Pierce Brosnan, you never see his breath. Because it's not cold where he's filming. And he jumps into warm water because, by the way, the shock of going from a freezing environment directly into warm water, that
I know. Yeah.
That could kill you too.
That's an exact way to put someone into shock.
If you're not already in shock, you're going to be. In fact, it's interesting. Hot and cold torture is a thing. During Vietnam, some American soldiers who were captured by the Vietnamese were tortured by being threatened that they were going to be burned with like a hot poker. And they would hold the hot poker closer and closer to their face, but not hit them with the hot poker. Instead, someone would come up behind them and put an ice cube on their back. And the shock of being prepared to be burned, but instead being met with ice was so... It was such a shock to their system that the ice would actually leave a welt on their skin.
That's very similar to modern torture techniques where they just play Hot and Cold by Katy Perry.
Oh, God.
Hot when you're cold. The
funny thing is, you're actually... I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they actually do, because in Guantanamo Bay... the prisoners in Guantanamo Bay have been tortured by being forced to listen to music at all hours to keep them awake.
Right.
And
it's usually...
Yeah, the music's usually awful.
Mm-hmm. Really bubblegummy pop stuff, if I remember.
So why is Michael Madsen in this movie? I don't know. Because he appears and he just kind of says a couple lines and doesn't make much of an impact.
I mean, how different is it from El Dorado?
Well, El Dorado had some gravitas to it, at least.
I guess. Did it?
No. That movie...
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that movie did and did not have.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, let's remake the Blues Brothers, but turn it into a B horror film.
And steal a joke from Death to Smoochie.
Said no one ever, except for that guy.
Well, that's the whole thing. Is like, I feel like a huge plot point is a joke that they stole wholesale from Death to Smoochie.
Which one was that?
They're performing for Nazis and then they run away and then they're on the run. Yeah, they're on the run. They're performing for Nazis and they don't know that they're Nazis, and then the spotlights come up and it's like, oh, these were Nazis.
Yeah, that was a person who loves Hollywood movies so much that he decided he was going to copy all of them and call it an original work. So now Jinx and James Bond are in these high-tech wingsuits, which don't exist. By the way, I don't know if you figured out the bad guy's plan, but his plan ultimately all along has been to, because he's North Korean, has been to fuck up the armistice between North and South Korea.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Which, to be fair, I mean, that's a threat that continues to this day, because North Korea's a bunch of crazy people.
Yeah.
Whoa. Get me the president so I can tell him about my very special set of skills.
I like how they fire only one missile to try to attempt to destroy that laser satellite. If they scrambled a couple hundred missiles, that laser satellite there's no way it could keep up with it. But anyway, that's me overanalyzing. Even Bond's sniper scope has to be this high-tech bleeping scope. So so Bond's trying to get through a fence with wire cutters and manages to make what looks like at least 50 little cuts in the span of what appears to be about 20 seconds.
Ba-da-ba-ba. CGI planes. Da-da-da.
Oh yeah, the rest of the movie is going to be based around CGI special effects. Here's the thing: this is very much a transitional '90s into 2000s style movie because that opening sequence has a ton of practical effects, and then over time, it's like the filmmakers said, "We need to put in more computer shit."
Yeah.
That CGI plane, by the way, manages to look worse than the one in in Air Force One.
What about Left Behind?
Oh, jeez. Well, Left Behind, at least Air Force One in this movie had big budgets.
Air Force One was 98. This was 4 years later.
Yeah. The one in Air Force One, with the exception of the crash at the end, which looks fucking awful, it doesn't look that bad.
I'm about to become Iron Man. He's about to turn into fucking what's his name? Eddie Redmayne in Jupiter Ascending.
You're right. He actually
he's like right there, right on the cusp.
He fucking looks like Eddie Redmayne. You're right. His name is Toby Stevens.
I wish he went full Redmayne in this.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in a lot of stuff. I think this might be the only movie I've seen him in. But he's actually, just so you know, Toby Stevens is the son of Maggie Smith.
What? That's wild.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Wendy from Hook.
Right.
Yeah.
And I of course you would know him from that, but Maggie Smith has been most famous recently because she's on
Downton Abbey.
Right.
And I mean, she's
a wonderful actress.
No, you're wrong. You're wrong, actually. Before Downton Abbey, Harry Potter.
Oh, I thought you were saying I was wrong that she was saying she was a good actress.
No. Yeah, she's great. She's great, but she played McGonagall in Harry Potter, and that's kind of where I think she kind of came to like mainstream consciousness.
Yeah, it looks like this actor Toby Stevens, his film career has never really taken off. He does
a lot of Harry Potter.
He does a lot of TV stuff. He's most recently he's on the show Black Sails for Stars, the pilot.
Tell me, is he in a Harry Potter?
No.
No, that's surprising, actually.
Actually, looking at his film career since this movie, I don't even know any of these movies.
I know you're not a big Harry Potter fan, but take it from someone who knows. Like, every single British actor ever is in those fucking movies. Like, all of them. I'm telling you. Rowan Atkinson is not in a Harry Potter film. Stephen Fry is not in a Harry Potter film. And Hugh Laurie is not in a Harry Potter film. But, like, everyone else, I swear to God, like, they got all the British actors. Simon Pegg, no. Nick Frost, no.
they got a lot of them.
The chick that plays Queenie in Blackadder Series 2, she's in fucking Harry Potter.
Oh, she's hilarious.
She is hilarious. Yeah, she's great. I think her name is Miranda Richardson.
That is her name.
Yeah, she is fantastic.
Miranda Richardson's in a lot of good stuff.
She's in Harry Potter. Fucking Jarvis Cocker of Pulp, one of my favorite bands of all time. He's in Harry Potter.
You're listening to the Who Else is in Harry Potter podcast.
Oh, yeah, we could do a whole podcast about that, but we won't. But maybe sometime we should watch the Harry Potter movies, since you're not so familiar with them. That could be an interesting endeavor to take on. And people might listen to them just because we're talking about the Harry Potter films. So that's an idea to keep in, that's an idea to slip into the back pocket,
This movie came out at a time when action films were struggling to find a new that guy villain, because it was 2002 and they were too afraid to, in a major movie, make Muslims the villain.
Yeah.
Because 9/11 had just happened and they were still trying to sort things out. And
well, I'll just fucking kind of state the obvious in saying pre 9/11, the year 2000, the first X-Men movie, Sir Ian McKellen as Magneto, great villain.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Totally fucking great villain.
I would argue the first X-Men movie is overrated.
We've done a commentary on it, if you recall.
Yeah, it's an overrated movie, and Halle Berry is she has the single worst line in it.
In
fact, I would argue it's the single worst line in X-Men movies until X-Men First Class, when you get Jennifer Lawrence says, "We're mutants and we're proud."
That's not even my least favorite line of hers in that film. So, my least favorite line of hers in that film is when she's giving out nicknames.
Oh, well, that's bad too.
That shit is cringy.
We're going to call you blank should never be something that happens in a movie.
Mutants and we're proud. That's one thing. That can work. Jennifer Lawrence didn't make it work, but that can work. The way that they had it set up in X-Men First Class, where she's just doling out the nicknames. Oh God.
Especially since the nicknames are. I mean, it's one thing if you can logically come up with a way that someone would organically come upon a name.
Yeah, no.
That works sometimes. Actually, I think the best movie that did that was in Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man, where he comes up with his own name and it sucks. And then when he goes on that wrestling thing,
Bruce Campbell, yeah,
decides to give him the name Spider-Man because it sounds so much better.
Not to nitpick, but he actually says The Amazing Spider-Man, which is the original title of the comic book.
Oh yeah, it's great. And
yeah,
I also love that scene because you get to see a classic pro wrestler,
Macho Man Randy Savage's Bonesaw. The ultimate Riff Tracks running joke of Bonesaw. Which, yeah, Riff Tracks is just something special, Oh God.
I love how Rosamund Pike has to be wearing, she has to be in her underwear in order to confront Halle Berry.
If I was the age that I was when this film came out and I saw this movie, I would have a lot of interest in that. but now that I'm a 27-year-old man and the internet has opened up and I can, if I want to see underwear pics, I can just Google that shit. This is nothing.
Yeah, I was just learning to drive when this movie came out, and
I must have been 13, 14 years old, somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, this was, I think I forgive a lot of this movie's mistakes at the time, simply because of the fact that Halle Berry and Rosamund Pike are both hot as hell.
I agree with that. I'm not going to debate that.
It's just that, yes, this movie, it makes a lot of mistakes, and they do not hold up.
It makes the teenage boy in you rise up to attention.
I think Bob Dylan put it best in the song featured in The Big Lebowski. The man in me will hide sometimes to keep from being seen. But that's because he doesn't want to turn into some machine. Take a woman like you to get through to the man in me. That's right, the song's about his dick.
Oh, man.
It's a wonderful song.
It is.
That's actually a very obscure album that song's from, because at that point, Dylan had just kind of come out of a period where he was taking a couple years off. And it's a great album called... I
gotta say, I love a filmmaker that can find these like deep album cuts and use them very well.
Mm-hmm.
Because like there have been a number of filmmakers over the years that have been able to do that very well.
And because Halle Berry and Rosamund Pike are both women, it's a woman-on-woman fight. Because that was their definition in the 90s and early 2000s of being fair to women, maybe?
Maybe.
I don't know. Either way, it's the ultimate cat fight, so, when I was that age, this was awesome, and not so much anymore.
Well, I mentioned way earlier in the broadcast about how Denise Richards was the previous Bond girl, and she gets into a catfight like this in Undercover Brother.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm starting to think that like maybe they cast her in that specifically because she was a Bond girl, because like that element of Undercover Brother, like they are totally jabbing at that Bond girl element of it,
That scene with Bond being electrocuted and like the cliched like electroid things flying all around him, so out of tune with what a Bond film should be.
Oh my god. I'm ahead of you. No, I'm behind you, actually.
That's a terrible line. You can't kill my dreams, but my dreams can kill you. Third. And he's about to learn what you learn in The Incredibles about having a cape. It's not a cape, it's a parachute, but it's the same thing. And by the way, why is it that his suit has a self-electrocute button?
Yeah, that's right, Michael Madsen. Smoke a cigarette. That's the only thing you were hired to do.
Actually, that's pretty much it.
Oh, yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, what has he done in this film?
He's gotten angry at Bond a couple times, and then he smokes a cigarette.
No, Rosamund Pike.
And
I think I broke her heart.
Yeah, you are.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm ahead of you. So I paused it, and I'm gonna start playing right now. Yeah, I'm right on. Yeah, it should be like right where you are. But Jesus, that was a terrible line.
The worst part is where she was stabbed is not where her heart is. But that I won't even I won't even get into that.
You get into yeah, that's anatomy discussion and.
But she was stabbed with a copy of Sun Tzu's The Art of War, which is like
Are you kidding me?
a little too on the nose.
Oh God, yes.
And now Bond and Jinx are going to exit the plane via helicopter that is not on. And they're going to be able to turn it on and fly. Or like get flying. And by the way, the rotors of this helicopter are just barely enough, like are just barely narrow enough to make it in. So I'm curious how that works logistically. The CG on this plane is just awful, and there's just nothing more.
CGI plane, CGI plane.
Random cutaways of Bond and Jinx like wincing. Yeah.
Shrapnel.
I'm very curious how a helicopter would perform if you're trying to turn it on in midair.
It works in Grand Theft Auto, but real life. No, sir.
Well,
no, sir.
I'm not going to doubt it because I've never seen it happen, but
It depends on how fast those blades get to swinging, you know? Ooh. Ooh.
just barely makes it.
Oh my God. And they used a real helicopter there. What the fuck?
Well, clearly the helicopter wasn't actually falling from the sky.
No, but those pickup shots of it flying over the field and shit, that was a real helicopter. Like right there, that's a real helicopter.
Right, right.
Why the fuck does everything else look so shitty?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Good Lord.
Oh, okay, here's the biggest joke in the movie that fucking pissed off everyone in the movie theater that I was at.
I want to hear it.
I'll let you watch it. So that's Moneypenny. M's secretary.
James. I will have to film Mrs. Doubtfire too. I'm about 10 years older than all the other women you've been with in these films.
Well, Moneypenny and James Bond have always had kind of an on and off, like, sexual tension between them. And that includes when Lois Maxwell...
Why did he do that? Wait. He just, like, knocked a printer off that desk.
Oh, it's supposed to be just in the...
That was too much. Are you going to pay for that printer?
Well, you haven't seen it enough yet because... yeah, wait until you see what's happening here.
Moneypenny, you're just...
Using the holodeck to masturbate.
Oh, God. Jesus. Moving right along.
So that scene had no purpose in the movie. And
this could become a habit.
Yeah. That scene had no purpose in the movie, and it really pisses me off because the whole joke of the character Moneypenny is her and Bond have an unspoken relationship where you kind of get the feeling that they may have had something at one point, but they never explain it. And that's the mystery of it is fun.
I feel like never doing anything with it kind of makes her look like a pathetic waif.
Well, that... I don't think so. It worked.
I do think so because he's running around fucking all these other women, and she's just there longing for him.
Oh, right. Well, okay.
Look at this. They cut right to this, and it's like, what? I feel bad for her.
Yeah, Bond is fucking Halle Berry, by the way, covered in diamonds. Which, by the way, that's gotta be like getting down on a mountain of diamonds has gotta hurt.
This is some Flintstones shit.
Yeah.
If this was the Flintstones movie, it would be her and fucking Kyle MacLachlan, and it would be rocks instead of diamonds.
Wow, that's... Bill, you are unusually specific with your references.
Oh, yeah. No, I know. I've seen the Flintstones movie one too many times in my life.
And that, my friends, is James Bond.
Die another day. Good Lord.
That
Ben Wee, Ho Yee, Ian Paris, Mark Diamond with a D-Y-M-O-N, Oliver Skeet,
Oh, God. Skeet.
Vincent Wong, Stuart Ong, Manolo Caro. I lost track. It went to the top. Okay. Wow.
And
This is Madonna playing?
Yeah, this is the same song. It's just a remix. Yeah. Because
I said it before, and I'll say it again. This sounds like modern pop music. Like,
it's terrible. So
if this felt out of place in 2002, I can understand why. But like now, this is stock. Like this is what they come out with every day in the pop world.
This is not groundbreaking. It sucks. And
Oh no, I know. Yeah, I know that. Good
By the
Lord.
way, I don't understand that line in the song. She says, "I'm going to close my body now." How closing my body? What exactly does that entail?
That's a Madonna line.
Yeah.
I feel like if she wrote the lyrics, because there's always the off chance that she didn't write the lyrics for this.
I don't know whether she wrote the lyrics or not. That's actually a good question. But I also don't care. This Bond movie is one of the worst. I'm not even sure I will call it the worst.
I had fun.
It has its entertaining moments.
As a film that we got together and riffed, it was fun.
Yeah, fair enough for that. Watching it on your own is a pretty loathsome experience.
I understand. I understand why you wanted someone to go on this journey with you, because I couldn't imagine watching this by myself.
Now that said, for MovieBoozer, we've been doing a Bond marathon, and both Zach and myself have been watching and reviewing Bond films, and we're going into the Daniel Craig films starting after this. And
the whole goal is to get to Spectre.
Exactly. And it's interesting. I'm going just a little bit of teasing for the future. Now, Casino Royale is, I think, without a doubt, one of the best Bond films. The sequel, Quantum of Solace, is one of the few Bond films that is a direct sequel, in that the events pick up right where the first one, where Casino Royale left off. And here's the thing: it wasn't a very well-received Bond film when it came out, but I've heard, and when I saw it, I thought it was okay, but it didn't really strike my fancy all that much. But I've heard that if you watch Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace together, that it makes for like a pretty epic, like 3.5-hour movie. I'm very intrigued by that, and so I'm going to try to do that when I watch them. I'm going to watch them together. Devote a whole day to do it. It says here it was written and performed by Madonna and Mirwais Ahmadzadi, whatever that is.
It might have been somebody she was fucking at the time. Who knows? Madonna, and
He was married to Guy Ritchie at the time.
That's the thing, and I don't mean to sound derogatory about it, but like, think about it. She was fucking Sean Penn, and they made a movie together. She was fucking Warren Beatty, and they made a movie together. She was fucking Guy Ritchie, and they made a movie together. So how far off is it? Like, oh, she was fucking this dude, and they wrote the fucking Die Another Day theme song together. Like, it's not that far-fetched.
Yeah, that's true. And to be fair, her and Guy Ritchie split up, so there's probably some infidelity involved.
She has a notorious reputation for collaborating with her lovers.
Which, of course, her collaboration with Guy Ritchie went so well.
I mean, fucking the only one, and we discussed this before we went on the air. Like, we both kind of like Dick Tracy.
Yes.
And
was she fucking Warren Beatty?
No, she was. That's absolutely true.
She did fuck Warren Beatty?
She fucked Warren Beatty. You didn't know this?
I was guessing she probably did. Warren Beatty has a reputation for fucking everyone. So.
That is absolutely true, but no, she was dating Warren Beatty for a while. If I remember correctly, I think Warren Beatty actually has a small cameo in Truth or Dare.
Interesting.
Yeah, she was with Warren Beatty. On the Arsenio Hall show, she and Rosie O'Donnell were guests together because they were becoming quick friends after filming League of Their Own together. And they explicitly talk about how they both banged Warren Beatty.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yes, Warren Beatty is a notorious whore, but
so is Madonna, kind of.
Yes, that's true too. I like Dick Tracy, and she is not great in it at all. Like, she's kind of garbage in it, but Dick Tracy, like, first of all, what's Al Pacino's name in that movie? Like, Big Boy?
Yeah.
Fucking Al Pacino is Big Boy. That is so much fun. I love him in that movie. We gotta do a commentary on Dick Tracy soon.
Yeah, I enjoy Dick Tracy too. It's corny, but it's meant to be a throwback and a cartoonish one, and it's got some interesting elements. I actually love how all the buildings have are primary colors.
That's what I was gonna say. Is like there's some great cinematography in that film. There's some great. I don't want to say world building because they don't build a world, but they make you feel the world, you know? Like you see it and you feel it, and it's like this is a comic book.
Oh yeah, it's a comic book movie that truly does make you feel like you're in a comic book.
I like it. I've always loved the Dick Tracy movie, and hopefully we'll get to that at some point in the future, because if I would love to do a whole video on it like we've done here today, or we could collaborate on an article together. But I feel like it's inevitable that we've got to collaborate on Dick Tracy at some point.
Well, then we'll work on that. But I want to thank you for joining us on this MovieBoozer virtual commentary, and we will pick it up with another commentary at some point in time. And thank you for joining us.
Yes. Have a good night.